Hey guys, it's Matt. Let's do this very brief exercise together, just for a few minutes, and then I'll be right back. Can anybody tell me what this is? I know you're zoomed in close, you don't have the big picture, but you can figure it out. It's right there in front of you. Oh, it's a coat of arms, right? But I can't see the top. Is that the Steiner coat of arms or some sort of seal of a duke or a lord or a monarchy? Well, let's zoom out a bit. Oh, wow, the lion. And is that a unicorn? I can't really see if it has a horn or not. There's the British flag, and I don't know the Latin. Matt, could that be the Steiner, a coat of arms, say something as you walk into a polo match or a fairgrounds? It doesn't really look like a castle. I'm getting a picture. I'm pretty confident as I know what this is. Well, it's a fucking Punch and Judy show, puppet show. That's what the reality does. It has you zoom in. Okay, we're going to talk, I guess, one more time about the CK, the James T. Kirk. It is incredible what much of our community has fallen into, what I'm hearing from other truth channels. The reality, it works overtime to get you to focus in on the details because it brings you back to that first image. Only if you back up and remember everything you've learned about the principles of a fake reality, what it does, what it's designed to do, how it breaks down when you examine the whole of it every single time. So it knows that a few of us can see the big picture. So it draws you into its details. Well, how could a rifle shot be made from 200 yards away? What was his training via a long-range rifle shot? Did he see the Marky Mark movie Shooter? I mean, all the details. What was that secretive plane that took off? And all this stuff. It's doing it to us again. Remember we said years ago, before we even see the V, 6 years ago, we said, is there ever going to be a big news item anytime in the future that isn't just riddled and littered, sprinkled with conspiracy? We said, no, it'll always come. It's happening again. So you have to consider everything first and foremost through the lens of fake world. How many truth channels are doing that? They're actually back examining the details, talking about specifics about the individual. Leave me alone. I'm a family man. You've got to be. How can you do the work? And some people come to the conclusion, many of us here, fake world, and then forget it all and go back into the details and the weeds. It's incredible to me. All right, let's do another exercise. See, the point here is when you're zoomed in on a detail, you can't really see the whole. I'm not sure if this message is getting across to you. You're all from Davenport, so I know you're all really smart. I'm sorry, old guard, and thank you for coming in after clearing fields. I'm not talking to you. Well, I know what this is, Matt, even zoomed in. It's a human heart, but you can see it's not a real human heart. It's kind of a paper mache or a cardboard or a plastic. It's a representation of a human heart in a college classroom. And you can see the lighting coming in on the right side there. That's what it is. The harsh blue lighting responsible for mind control in an office building. You can see that's what... no. It's the nose on the Punch and Judy show puppet on the left. It's another Punch and Judy show? But Matt, these details were different than the last details. It's still the same Punch and Judy show, and y'all from Davenport, so you know where I'm going with this. It's the same fake reality. It's if you back up far enough, even though we zoomed in on the nose before we zoomed in on the crest or the coat of arms, when you back up far enough, it's the same Punch and Judy show. It's the same fake reality. Matt, you're being very condescending. I'm sorry. I'm a bit frustrated with this CK horse shit. Now let's do just one more exercise. That's the last one. Of course, it's zoomed in so you can't see the whole, but there's a lot of details. You can figure it out this time. What do you think this is? Come on now. Now I can hear half of you screaming at me through the ether, even before the upload. Matt, I'm not going to fall for it again. There's going to be another Punch and Judy show, and you're not going to fall for the banana and tailpipe trick again? I'm not going to fall for the banana and tailpipe trick again. You're not going to fall for it. That's good. Some of you are actually learning a bit, but I might might be throwing you a curveball. This one could be different. Look at the details. You can't just say Punch and Judy show, right? You can't just put that out there. Look, doesn't it remind you of I Pet Goat 2? Oh, it's the scene in the classroom with Obama and I Pet Goat 2, isn't it? Look at the symbolism. Look at the pagan. Is that sun worship? Come on, man. Get back in the weeds. Get back in the details. That might be from I Pet Goat 2. Even though you learned your lesson as to what we're doing here, if you get back in those details, you can figure it out. Uh-oh. It's another fucking Punch and Judy show. It's the same every time. It's the same every time. Guys, I just thought of this. 1 minute or less. We'll get back to how reality works in just a minute. That shit's not important. Every time I see the Punch and Judy show, it reminds me of Lady Elaine Fairchild. And I thought as a kid it was Rothensteiner's Star Child. It's Fairchild. And I've always wondered, why did they create the ugliest, most diseased-looking thing in the world for Lady Elaine? I mean, look at the face and the nose. It's like, what kind of demented demon creature made the puppet? It had to be made by hand. It's not some mistake that came off a Foxconn assembly line. Somebody went and said, I thought you were going to make Lady Elaine Fairchild. What is this diseased thing with diseased cheeks and diseased nose? Why did you decide to create this? I don't know. Don't ask questions. Who decided to create Lady Elaine but all fucked up and diseased? Hasn't anybody ever thought of that? Let's get back to the reality discussion. Although it's really, once you understand reality and its first grade tricks, this is more fun and more important. Okay, I'm back. How did you do in the test? Hopefully by the third one, you knew the Punch and Judy show was coming. And I'm sure you guys did, but it is so frustrating what I've been listening to. People have sent me. Imagine what has been sent to me. After the Free Voice video, which is typically around noon or the latest 1 o'clock on Sunday, I don't usually do a video on Monday. Usually just try to get away from all the headlines, stack bricks in the backyard, make a stove, mindless activities, rake leaves, completely do a mental detox. But because of what's happened, Greg wants to talk about it. I'm getting links from people, emails, all sorts of things. And I would say I jumped back into the weeds, but I knew very little about the event as to what happened. And considering the type of channel that this is, I need to know a little bit of something as to how the Not Ilk is presenting this sort of thing. And again, it was very, very frustrating what I looked at. And you say disheartening, people falling back into the weeds, trying to get back into the details. That didn't come out right. That was way too complicated, just re-recording the absolute basics. Once you come to the conclusion of fake world, whether that be 2 weeks ago, 10 years ago, then everything has to be looked at through the fake world lens. Is that? Now, many of you aren't there in terms of fake world. That's basically what this channel's about. Trying to point out to you how ridiculously fake and obviously fake this world is. That makes you more real. That makes your spiritual side trillions of times larger than this fake little reality. That's the best news of all time. But that's basically what this channel is about and will be about. Continuously pointing out fake world. I appreciate the old guard for still being here. So we have 1,000 examples of fake world at this point. And I know many of you are on the fence. Some of you see it, but some of you will come and listen to me and will go, that makes sense. Miss Matt's making sense again today. And then you'll go right over here to this channel and listen to this detailed breakdown about CK, and you'll do both. You continuously have your feet in both. And I'm not, okay, fine. But I don't understand that, I guess, to a degree, because once you can see the fake world, reality gives itself away. How many times, how many examples, thousands have we gone over? You've heard me say reality gives itself away. The Goldilocks principles. Everything is so perfect. We talked about a few weeks ago, just wood, little sticks. If wood and little sticks didn't break and they were like iron, or they were like noodles and they didn't bend and they didn't burn, there'd be no life. It wouldn't exist. If there's salt, seawater salt in the ocean, but if that salt stayed with the water molecule and came up into the clouds and the rivers and the streams were salt, life wouldn't exist. There's thousands and tens of thousands of these examples where everything is so perfect, where if just one little thing zigged instead of zagged, And once you have thousands of these examples, you very quickly come to the conclusion that it's not random anymore. It's all exactly by design. Obviously is. So, I mean, we've put forth thousands of examples. If the world were real, then this would happen or this wouldn't happen. And going back to the main one we have, I mentioned several minutes back in this video, is the realization we came to in 2019. And we had sensed this, of course, but it was actually the Kobe Bryant thing. It wasn't C to V that led to this. It was the Kobe Bryant thing, where I came forth and y'all agreed, and something we knew deep down, but we never really just put out on the table and talked about openly. And is there ever going to be another news item or any big event that happens in the world that isn't going to be two things at the same time? The event itself and all of the conspiracy associated with it. All of the, you could say, the branching off stories related that draws people in different directions and draws people into certain conclusions depending on, here we go again with another symptom of fake world, what they expect to find, their own expectations of a real creative being. Again, all is mind. None of this stuff is possible without mind or the creative consciousness coming first. So, of course, the population, mostly it was put on steroids times a trillion after 2001 and the 7-Eleven job application submission. The population, or at least tens of millions of us, we are trained or expecting at this point to have all the related conspiracy associated with any big news story. And we expect it. Tens of millions of us, or hundreds of millions around the world, expect branching stories or related stories that create confusion, conspiracy, two sides seeing it differently, the conspiracy generation machine showing both sides or 4 or 5 sides, what it wants to find, what it wants to see, the evidence that they need to interpret an event in a certain way. And because the creative beings or the real spiritual beings are expecting that conspiracy, that's likely a gigantic force or factor in the conspiracy itself being generated. This shouldn't be new to anybody here. Remember that Kabbalion thing? People are, you read the Kabbalion, that's demonic. All is mind. I'll read anything that makes sense. I don't care where it came from. I'll read the Kabbalion on Monday and part of the Bible on Tuesday. And then I'll amalgamate everything together and have my own worldview as to how I think things work. Kabbalion 1 is very accurate. All is mind. Comes from the creative consciousness first. Now, we've been bred by knot milk and trained like Pavlov's dogs to expect the conspiracy. The knot milk thrives off confusion and having different groups interpret events in different ways based on whatever facts are shown to each group that help support or reinforce their own positions. And then, of course, the more that happens, the more chaos is created, the more people fight with their neighbors and hate their girlfriends, and the friction, here we go again, the same fake reality principles. Friction, loosh, tension, emotional energy harvesting. I mean, come on. We can't, so we're going to do this. Yeah, we're going to do it every time there's a major event. Because my goal in this channel, I appreciate the old guard being here, coming in tired after clearing fields. My goal is to get the 5th grade truther up to start to see certain things, 11th grade, maybe 12th grade. And then once at some point you will cross a threshold where you say, fake world, this isn't very real. And just the number of times it's pulled it off. It's embedded the conspiracy. This doesn't help the president. Can you see me doing? I'm constantly doing. Sorry. It's embedded the conspiracy. Again, not to the level of the 7-Eleven job application or other things we've seen, but you can see it's already happening. JFK style questioning is already happening. Did he act alone? I mean, how many thousands of times has that been floated out already? Did he act alone? So the reality, if you have to see it at the Punch and Judy show where you're backed up the entire way and you can see the whole, the reality isn't very real, and it's doing it to us again. It's running its same plays, its same playbook, and many of us are falling for it again. And its goals are always the same. Each your family members over here see it. These are liberals. They see it that way, and the conservatives over here see it that way. And they're going to the CK vigils, and then they even more so. These family members don't like each other, and they create tension and infighting. How many times can people fall for the same trick? So if you get into the weeds on it, and that's where everybody that's not a truth researcher is, of course, going back to the news, what new event is being presented today through CNN or through the BBC about the CK tragedy? If you look at you will never ever be able to see the big picture, and they don't want to see the big picture. If your friends and family, they don't ever want to see the final image of the Punch and Judy show. They're not ready for it. That's not what their life, at least in this go around or this incarnation, is all about. Some people would say, well, it destroys their worldview. They can't handle it mentally. That's a factor. That's possible. But it's more, to me, it's like they're just not ready in this. Their soul is not ready in this lifetime to exit the illusion. And so you could say, some say their higher self or other aspects of themselves protect this version of them so they will never, ever see what reality truly is. Whether they do the earmuffs and run out of the room, which I've had happen, you've had happen, people that once somebody is talking to you about, say, conspiracy stuff or truth stuff, and there's a part of them, remember, much of their subconscious or unconscious, they'll never be consciously aware of. Even as I'm talking to you, the subconscious is manipulating my conscious mind and into maybe saying certain. The conscious mind, the unconscious hides from the conscious mind and the ego. So somebody, I've told you about examples. I've literally had people basically cover their ears, do earmuffs, and say, I'm not listening any more of this, because their subconscious knows that there's truths that are going to be presented that are very hard, if not impossible, to refute. So they basically do the earmuffs like was an old school. Why do you have to do it in front of the kid? You just say earmuffs. Why do you have to do it in front of the kid, Frank? You say earmuffs. You can say anything. You say cock, ball. So, they do earmuffs and they run out. They don't even themselves understand why they're doing it, because they're in the ego and the conscious mind, and that's the part of me that I have to speak to you from or with. But hopefully, this is a whole separate video, but having everything work together, the inner knowing, the unconscious, the subconscious, the conscious mind, the ego, having one of the goals of part 2, the work, is to have everything working together, not having certain parts completely hidden from other parts and isolated or segmented from other parts. Anyway, I'd like to talk about that in another video. That's something that's a big part of part 2, the work that I've never talked about. But anyway, once again, when we back up, we go up in the hot air balloon, 80,000, 100,000 feet. Same exact thing is going on. If you see the world as fake, not very real, how many times could it pull this off and that off and get away with it? How many times can it, can it serve up its side of mashed potatoes with a big helping of conspiracy in terms of every big news item that ever makes the news anymore? How many times can this keep happening? Well, it can in any sort of a real world. So once you get there, when you examine the events, for example, to say, I've heard truth channels, to say a family man about who we're talking about, or hi Zara, if you say fake world and that's where you are, you just can't go there. You can't say fake world over here. I see what you're saying, Matt. But he was a family man. But you can't do that. They're not compatible. Okay, it doesn't. Well, you explain it, Matt. This and that. I'm not. The point is, I'm not going to try to explain it. If you try to explain it, then you're not at the fake world level. You're at the everything's real level, and things can be figured out. And someday we'll figure out how this architecture was actually built. No, we'll never will figure it out. It's part of the game the reality plays. It's maybe built into this reality. We'll never figure it out. Think that's a cop-out? Think what you want. the impossible architecture, and thousands of other conspiracies that come with this reality is built into the reality. It's part of the game here. That's a cop-out. I had somebody I think the person was from Australia. I'll never forget. They got very upset at me 5, 6, or 7 years ago, saying, Matt, it's really dangerous or something, telling people that they can't be figured out and to stop trying, and that's defeatist. No, to try to figure it out is not defeatist, but is falling for the biggest trick that this reality plays. And it's just year after year, just it sounds arrogant, I know, like the little group of us, but everyone else has learned nothing. It sounds arrogant. I don't know any other way to say it. Well, so yeah, you and your little group you guys are right. You and your little group of idiots, man. You think you know it all. It's obvious at this point. It plays the same games in the same way. Oh my God. You can't have it both ways, guys. If you've announced or if you've told yourself, whether it be from watching one of my videos years ago, or however you came to that conclusion. Some people, they didn't believe in the Mandela effect, but then they had a personal experience, something that whether it would be a local Mandela effect of that sign that they say was here for 30 or 40 years, that wasn't there, or something in a movie. Mandela affected people are very stubborn, but then something happens to them and they come around. And they say this, once I've had one of these major experiences with a complete breakdown of reality, they say, okay, I've come around now. This is fake. However you get there, or here, that's where I am. However you get here, everything has to be through that lens or through that context. You just can't. I can try to poke holes in the official story and say the official story, again, is broken down as a symptom of fake world. I can say, how did somebody that didn't have military training go up on a building with a 30-6 rifle without shaking, how did they do it if they didn't have military training, or their heart rate would be up? Of course, that seems to be back in the weeds, and that's examining details. But if I can show you that 50 details in a story don't make sense, and then I can paint a bigger picture and say that this didn't happen or couldn't have possibly happened in the way that they say, that the BBC and CNN says it happened. And since we do that every single time, we typically, when we used to get a little bit more back into the weeds, we examine an event, with 7-Eleven job application being the biggest example. We get close to it, and we come to the conclusion that there's no way whatever happened, a building fell, okay, but there's no way it happened in terms of what they say happened. Those details couldn't create or couldn't explain what happened. And, doing that once is valuable, and then you do it 5 or 10 times. But once you do it 100 times or more, you have to just stand up and say fake world. There's no real world that could keep pulling this off. And the liberals are seeing what they want to see in this event, and the conservatives are seeing what they want to see. And the elements to inflame and incite are all perfectly placed, with the people celebrating, and then the conservatives are getting their revenge, which is getting them all fired up, because of this, these stories, at least in the social media, are saying a lot of them are being fired. And I mean, who knows? They could have 1 or 2 examples and they make it seem like it's happening to 10,000 people. The level of coordination in this event is, again, supernatural. It's off the charts. It's no real world could, when you see how it's being used to manipulate and to create hatred and ire and loose energy and negative emotion. And therefore, if this story is so effective for Not Milk, is so it's being used in a way that's benefiting Not Milk like few other stories have ever benefited Not Milk, then how ridiculous would it be to say that in some way Not Milk wasn't behind it? Okay, so, and then again, we get into, I'm not going to do that final step into the weeds. Did something really happen, or did something not really happen? That's too far into the weeds. It doesn't matter. Once you see, you back up. Once you see fake world, and then you see somebody can come say watch a video with me a year and a half ago, and I have this whole list. The reality gives itself away because everything's Goldilocks, and this couldn't happen in the real world. At the end, they'll generally agree. I kind of agree with Matt. This world, this construct is not very real. It's fake, but then they'll give me crap last week by saying it doesn't matter what really happened. Can't have it both ways. No, can't have it both ways. Cannot. Once you arrive at fake world, if you've arrived there, I mean that's where I am. You don't. I'm going to continue to try to convince people that this is a fake world. The evidence is just, especially if you're new here, you haven't been over all the evidence that we've been over for the past 5 years. I mean, just back to they just do video after video, reiterating over and over again for 10 years all the elements of fake world. What was done in 2020 was impossible. It's impossible. See the V. Putting the entire world into pretty much the entire world, even most of Africa and most of the Far East, into a face covering in 6 weeks over basically nothing. It's just not possible without the download. If the populations are on a download of frequency or radio station, is that a real world that came from a Big Bang? No, that's a supernatural world, or things things aren't quite what they seem. So, regarding the CK stuff, guys, I mean, I know even a lot of you, I'm sure, have looked at certain details, and I don't understand it. I just don't. It's pretty simple to come to the conclusion of fake world. And if you're there, just try to remember you're there, because that is the best news of all time. There's two aspects to us. It's very simple. There's the material side and there's the spiritual side. Which side has reign or precedence in this reality? Well, it's 100% the material side. Everything is real, the body, and it's all you are. The spiritual side it's ignored or hidden, or it's complete other than going through the large religious infrastructures. It's all so. If the rule of opposites, if that side is ignored, hidden, or manipulated, then that's what you really are. And the material, the rule of opposites. What it seems like this is all we are. It really seems like this is all we are, but then it's the opposite. You're more than this is. This is just a tiny little bit of what you are. This is like first grade stuff now. Anyway, it's just the rule of opposites, and the whole reality is out to say this is don't forget you are the flesh. This is who you are. You're the straw man, and it goes further. Not just Matt McKinley in all caps. It just keeps pushing everybody towards the material. Rule of opposites says that's the greatest news of all time. Then I'm really the opposite, and then it uses 1,000 tricks to get you so focused on the material, including these types of events, but also the science and its mathematics. It's all laid out. The heliocentric model, or what the universe is. And now there's new comets being discovered. And how Matt, if you conspiracy people come forth and say space isn't what they say, and you're really smart, y'all from Davenport. And so you explain a comet, Matt. You explain a comet. I can't, but I don't really need to. I don't care. I don't want to. It's a gigantic trick and an illusion. In a trick and illusion, there couldn't be a comet. Doesn't just because there's a comet with a trail because the sun melts the ice off of? Oh, sure, yeah. Just because there's a trail, that means it's real. Look, you can see it, therefore it's real. What is that? So what? I can see it. What is that? So what? And the story itself, to me, not to jump back in the weeds on comets, but it's ridiculous. So in Halley's Comet, reason you can see Halley's Comet, it gets close to the sun and that ice starts to melt because it's hot, and then the ice trail. Oh, well, how many times has it been around the sun? Oh, they'll say it's been going around the sun for over 1 billion years. Whatever they say, I don't know. It's probably a long time. So wouldn't the first time it went by the sun, the ice would melt off and there'd be no more ice? If I just throw an ice tray in my fireplace, it's going to melt, and it's a one and done thing. But every single time it comes back, it has the ice trail. It just has an unlimited supply of water. Everything breaks down. I mean, and even, again, we shouldn't get into the weeds on anything regarding space. It's just, I don't care. It doesn't matter what the evidence shows science. I'm not going to believe what the scientists say. To me, the scientists are the most tricked. In this entire reality, the smartest people with the highest IQs, those that make the biggest salaries and write the thickest books and get the most accolades and awards, the scientists, the astronomers, the cosmetologists that do astronomy and also cut hair, they're the most fooled. And because of their own hubris, that couldn't possibly be correct. They would laugh me right off the stage of the Oxford Union debate hall. But then again, they didn't laugh Terence Howard off the stage when he said 1 times 1 is 2. They didn't laugh him off the stage. I guess if they didn't laugh him off the stage, then they wouldn't laugh me off the stage, because there's no way what I would be saying is more ridiculous than what he was saying. But I don't know. Maybe me and Terence can debate those Oxford and Cambridge eggheads together. We're going to be one. Terence, if you're listening, we're going to be one. Matt, it's breaking down. Yeah, it always does about this time. Guys, did you arrive at the conclusion, whether the endless personal synchronicities, the endless numbers being shown? Yes, okay, I don't really even know what to say about it. He was, apprehended or something after 33 hours? Yes, in this case, to me, 33 is a reality marker for fake world. But we've looked at these questionable events, say, for 15 years. And the 33 almost always finds its way into the questionable events. Now, back in the old days, all we could come up with was it's planted by the secret societies. And because they get off on it. What is it, Chet? Why do you have to be such a wanker? Because I get off on it. Because they get off on it or something. I don't know. They can laugh. I guess when it comes on the news, apprehended after 33 hours, and they just, in their little club meetings, they just laugh. I don't know. That doesn't explain things anymore. But it's not a rule of reality itself. Every single ridiculous event doesn't push forth the 33. It's almost like 33 is crying out in the night. And as the reality breaks down, things are much worse today than they were, say, when they first put the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo missions up in terms of the presentation of how real things seem to the population. It was very professional, their presentation back then. And the 33 didn't seem to be like all over the place. But as it breaks down, whatever era, whatever part of the Kali Yuga this is, it seems like the 33 like cries out in the night and has to show itself. And I mean, I know some of you are screaming at me that obviously, Matt, in this case, the 33 hours was planted by the secret society. Maybe it was. Does it really? But I tell you one thing: if you think every single case, every aspect, or every single example of the 33 popping up, of everything we've looked at, which is like thousands and thousands of times over the past 15 years, if you think in every case that was planted by the Trilateral Commission or something, you're lost. It is it comes out of, in many cases, comes out of reality itself. Was this planted, or is it 33 through reality crying out in the night, trying to tell people to question this event? It doesn't. You know what I'm going to say? It doesn't matter. That's a cop-out. It doesn't matter. Even trying to explain the 33 is falling for the trick. You just go back, once again, get back in the hot air balloon, go up to 100,000 feet, look down, not at the detail of the Punch and Judy show, of the whole Punch and Judy show. Oh, we have this element happening again. We have conspiracies happening. We have branch stories related, fueling conspiracy. We have the 33 again. Do we have all the elements of a fake world? Almost all so far. We have almost all the elements of a fake world. You see the world for what it is, And then don't forget what it's trying to do to you. It's trying to block you. It's trying to get up in your business. It's trying to keep you from doing part two, the work. And for once, I'm not going to do it. The worry about yourself activities. It's trying to block you. Matt, how do you keep a channel when it's one sentence? I have no idea. Thanks for coming here. Thanks for listening.